Film School Slacker contains adult language and themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Film School Slacker, the podcast where I go through my ever-growing watch list of movies, and with me as always is my friend Megan.
Yo.
And today we have another special guest. It is my friend Laurel.
Hi.
Laurel. Hi, Laurel.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Welcome.
It's been a while since you and I have been on a podcast
together. Yeah.
But, you know, why not? I feel like if...
It's appropriate that I'm on for this episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think right from the inception of the podcast, we had you down for this movie.
Yeah.
And today's movie is Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Bedknobs and Broomsticks from 1971, rated G, 1 hour 57 minutes long. Let's see, starring Angela Lansbury, David Tomlinson, Roddy McDowell, Sam Jaffe? Jaffe? I don't know. Among others. Directed by Robert Stevenson and Ward Kimball.
Oh! I didn't know Ward Kimball was involved. That's
written
cool.
by Ralph Wright, Todd Berman, Bill Walsh, good lord, Don DeGrady, Mary Norton, and Ken Anderson.
Oh, wow. This has got some, like, vintage peeps from Disney.
Oh, yeah. Like,
that's super cool.
There's a lot that goes on in this movie.
Okay.
I can't wait for you to see it.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's cool. So, Ward Kimball, by the way, Megan. So now you've accidentally created a Disney podcast temporarily that's happening.
I half expected it with Laurel here. I knew what I was walking into today.
That's fair. So Ward Kimball is a pretty well-known Imagineer. Mm-hmm. So he worked on... I'm trying to think of, like, some of his biggest things he worked on.
Oh, damn. But, apparently he joined Disney Studios in 1934.
Yup.
Yep.
Damn,
Yeah, these are some OG people that you just called out. So
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. He was an animator on that. Sorry, I'm stepping on your...
He's one of the old men.
He's one of Disney's
Disney
9
Studios.
old men.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dang.
Yeah, it's a very interesting group because a lot of the people that worked on those early big films ended up doing a lot of the big early stuff for Disneyland and Disney World as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's cool to watch because a lot of these guys just became super kind of multidisciplinarians. Like they started off in like doing like animation or illustration or whatever, and then they ended up engineering. Like you know, Bob Gurr.
Disney would basically point across the office like, I like the work you did on this, but I want to make a physical thing,
make it real,
make it work.
Yeah.
And
Figure
they would
out
just
how to
learn.
make it real.
Yeah, like was it Bob Gurr who learned trigonometry?
Oh, good lord.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna figure out how to do the bobsleds and the monorails and whatever, and like they just taught himself all that stuff just so he could do the physics for the stuff that he had to make in real life. So it's pretty cool to see. Like there's a reason that we're nerds about this shit because it is pretty amazing the way these people kind of learned the things to make the dream work. You know, it's pretty cool. Anyway, I don't know a lot about this movie. I'm pretty sure that I have like a single shot in my head of like them sitting at or on a bed.
Yep.
And that's kind of it.
Tracks.
Like that's really all I have.
That's kind of all I have.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of excited to actually understand the story and get a good vibe for what's going on.
My stepdad's parents had the record of this, I think, when I was a kid.
Is it a musical?
Yes, there's music in it. I have the record as well, because I'm also a vinyl geek.
I also don't remember ever playing it but like, hey,
you
maybe
just knew it was there.
I just knew it was there, and like maybe some of the songs will come back to me, but I have no idea. I cannot remember a thing about it I listen to it.
Yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm gonna have some recovered memories. Like I feel like that will happen, like from a music perspective or something. But like I don't have any knowledge of what the plot was.
I think that this movie was more informative for me than I realized because I watched it so many times as a kid.
Yeah.
It was kind of my replacement for Mary Poppins. Like Mary Poppins is a big, well-known film, and I always felt like, but this one's better, and it has similar themes, but also it's just cooler, and you get to watch Angela Lansbury punch Nazis. So I'm really excited for you.
I'm excited for that.
That's like you had me at Angela Lansbury punching Nazis. Like that is. What more can you really want
in a Disney film? It's so it's a bit of a fever dream, but like in the best way.
Mrs. Potts. My goodness.
Oh Lord.
All right. Well, with that being said, I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah,
Let's roll the tape.
Roll it.
Okay, so for a movie from 1971, how was the worst special effects the cat? Like, how is that the worst effect? Because everything else really held up.
Everything else was really charming and
super
good and well
I don't
done.
know, like
Yeah.
the bed scenes when they're flying through.
Yes.
It's just like, what can we play with? It's
Oh, yeah.
1971.
No, literally, like that's like, oh, they finally got the RGB channel
Yeah,
controls. Like,
exactly.
it was-
It's exactly what
it
it
was
is.
like the last 20 minutes of 2001:
With
A
Space
Space Odyssey. Every time they traveled on the bed.
Yes.
I'm
Oh
just
my
like,
god.
oh.
It's so true. Okay. I adored that movie.
That
was
I'm
so
glad.
fun.
I liked it more than I thought I would.
It was really.
It's a weird movie. It's
Yeah.
So weird.
And as I watched it with you guys, because I haven't watched it in a few
Yeah.
years, and I was like, I feel I'm gonna be judged by this movie, but I really, there's something of it that like always stuck with me throughout childhood.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot that I can get into. We will get into.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a movie.
Yeah.
It is so
Those three acts are
weird.
so distinct.
Distinct.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
so different.
Yeah.
But they all come like somehow like magically come
Together.
together at the end.
It's a
even though it's kind of like you got to go out on a limb to like believe the connections a little
Yes.
bit.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
it's just like
Yeah, from the beginning to the end, like going and like coming out of it from like the end and experiencing the end of it and then thinking about where we started, I was like, whoa,
How did we get
how did we
here?
get here? Yeah, like it was just an absolute romp, and Disney in sort of like a rare that hybrid blended action movie form. Like they don't, there weren't a ton of those.
no. I mean, Mary
And
Poppins came out in '64,
Yeah.
I think, and I think they very much took a lot of inspiration from that.
Right.
Well, fun in the trivia, it said that they were developing both of those movies at the same time. But then they decided that this one was just too technically
Challenging
difficult.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
And
So
they
then
just-
they're like, okay, we'll focus on Mary Poppins. And then they kind of went back and forth during
Okay.
development between this one and Mary Poppins. And eventually they're just like, all right. I think the Shermans were the ones who were like, we need to focus on this one thing, and we
yeah.
can focus on the other movie when
Later.
we're done with this
the first one.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So-
Well, yeah, that's crazy. Like one single studio trying to produce two movies of that caliber.
At once,
there's
yeah.
no shortcuts in those effects. Like that was a
those
lot of
practical
hand done-
effects
yeah.
are insane.
Yeah.
The scale of them is crazy.
And I think you called out very early on the fact that most of it is on backdrops.
Yeah, like
Really-
painted backdrops.
It's just
the nostalgia
so
for me.
pretty.
you want to
it's
you
so
want to just
good.
walk into
do.
it.
I
It's
was-
so nice.
That I
Yeah.
think that's part of what got me.
Yeah.
Was just the painted backdrop and that classic, like, you know, old style movie
Yeah.
set that, you know, is mostly painted, and I just find it
And as
endlessly
theater
charming.
kids, like I imagine
Yes.
you really appreciate
Yeah.
that because
Oh,
you
yeah.
have like so much experience with practical backdrops
Yeah.
that have to.
And as
Work.
parks nerds,
Yeah.
like that's
Oh,
the other thing
yeah.
is like the practical extended effect, you know, backdrops are so common in the rides and the
Yeah.
and the environments. Like it just you just feel it. It just gets you in a way that's unexpected. But I might just get into my notes and we can kind of jump
Yeah.
in as we go here.
But now we have two of us taking notes.
I know.
That was weird.
That is, I know, because this is technically
I
a double
haven't seen-
blind.
yeah.
This might be our first double
I
blind.
think it is.
Well, 2001 Space
no,
Odyssey
that
was close to being a, because you,
what was our? I think
I
we
don't think
have
we've done, maybe it was Gross Point Blank.
No, because I've
you've
seen that one.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, this
Gross
is a
Point
true
Blank,
out.
side note, also one of my favorite movies of all time.
Gross Point Blank. Yes. We did that with Kevin. That
Yeah,
was
that
also
was a
a
fun-
I
blast.
listened to that one.
It was so fun.
It was a fun episode.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. All right. So I loved the Bardcore intro, like title sequence.
I said
was
this opening
so
is
good.
big Robin Hood vibes.
Yes.
It is absolutely like gothic,
Yeah.
English,
Like that
classic
illustrated
illustrations.
manuscript
Yeah.
style.
Oh, it was so fun. I just called it. I was like, Ward Kimball! Like, I was just excited to see Ward Kimball up there.
What's up, Ward?
Ward, buddy! Yeah, it was so cool just to see it. Like, all these guys operating in, like, the core, kind of work that they did in the studio side. Sherman Brothers. Yeah.
I said, well, I wasn't expecting a Nazi submarine in an illustrated manuscript style.
Yes. Oh, I wrote Holy Swastika Batman. Like, it was just not, I was not ready for that to appear
so
on
weird.
that background.
Like that change, that change over from
Yeah, it was like, this is genuinely an interesting, like, the intro is genuinely clever. Like, it was a clever introduction. Very, very cool. And then also the whole movie was sort of laid out in those backdrops.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Which was so weird to like come back to and like realize later. It was like there was a U-boat in the water, but medieval style, and soldiers with nothing in them in their armor.
Yeah.
Like, it was super crazy, and you have no idea what it was until like the end.
Yeah, you guys were making comments. I was like, oh, you wait.
And then let's see. So the beginning with like the British Guard guys walking
Almost
around like
offensively British old man brigade.
I said this portrayal of British people is almost offensive.
I love it so much because I think it goes so far into the storytelling because these are the old World War I veterans,
or even like
the old
Boer
hats
War.
they're going through like wanting to defend but can't serve anymore.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
always just thought that was so
It's charming.
thoughtful.
Yeah.
Like the way that you told that story without saying anything.
Right.
Was really impactful.
There was a shocking large amount of implied storyline that you got. It's a movie that was both like for the whole family, but it didn't talk down to anybody.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a really interesting kind of take.
I think it's really progressive for its time because the woman who wrote the book that this is based on also wrote The Borrowers, if you know those books.
I love that.
And so her characters have always, like her main characters have always been like strong young women.
Sure.
And like in this film, there's a lot of like, I'm sure we'll get into it, like casual misogyny.
Yes.
But it always is egg on the men's face.
Yeah.
Because the only person getting us through this entire thing is this
the
young
woman.
single woman who lives on her own.
Right.
Which I love.
Yeah.
With her cat.
With her cat.
Cosmic Creepers. I've always wanted to name a cat that. I was like, if I ever get a black
Cosmic Creeper.
Cosmic Creepers.
Oh, so good.
Like that cat had been through a fire
Yes.
and
like,
come out the other side.
It has seen.
I think it was a lot of like petroleum jelly
Yes.
and fur.
God.
Yeah. It was like, whoa.
I feel bad for that cat.
And then we start in with the entrance for Angela Lansbury on this like
Friggin'
old motorcycle,
awesome
with like the sulfur coming out of the back.
I want it.
An amazing start with like the riding glasses, like just doing her own thing. It was so good.
She's in town to pick up her package and then get the fuck out of here.
Right.
She's like, I don't want to mess with you people.
And then she gets saddled with 3 children. Like what a deal that is. And then I love that they're like, this is Miss Price, and then like they'll drop priceless artifacts to the floor, just clatters down.
They're metal. They're fine.
And they had the correct response to seeing the cat the first time, which was running under a table. Because that thing was scary. Cosmic Creeper, indeed.
Indeed.
Immediately going into like the Sherman score with the like little like glissandos and stuff moving around. It's just so... It just makes you immediately transported back to like that kind of era of Disney.
It's so of a time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those kids have super Weasley energy.
They do have super Weasley energy.
They're all scruffy. They're wearing kind of like obviously worn out clothing.
Yeah.
And
even the way that they like say things like, "Yo, Harry Potter!"
Yo,
like,
Harry
Potter. It's such a
They're
classic.
so cockney.
they're so cockney. And we don't know their like London situation, which is I think is weird. Like, there's no like 2-sentence description of these are like, or like maybe the chick could have been like, their father died on the beach of whatever, and
or
their mother needs to work, or they're orphans,
and they don't really even at the end they don't really address the future.
No,
it's very, I mean, like obviously like in the short term they're going to stay with Miss Price, but they never really like, it's just a very interesting slice of life that doesn't really show any characters' lives outside of that.
And who knows, it could have ended up on the cutting room floor like an explanation or what.
Totally.
But there is like that kind of whole of like, But
what
do
is the
these
de-
kids
it's
have
right.
Do they
guardians
have
or
a family?
And the fact that the 6-year-old keeps trying to latch onto a father figure is just, it's very interesting. And again, it's one of
the
those
oldest
things.
is so traumatized
Ties.
by
Oldest is
something.
the oldest is a middle-aged dad.
Yeah.
I
Like,
think
he's 11.
I think reading between the lines, I think it would be very reasonable to think that they might be orphaned.
Yeah.
Which is very sad.
Recently.
But they also don't dwell on it, which is just very a very
They're
interesting.
like, listen, we got a lot to get through.
Right. This movie is already fucking crazy.
Crazy, and it's long.
It's long. It's like an almost 2-hour movie
Yeah.
for 1971 Disney. It's crazy.
One of my notes on this, beginning when she's taking the kids, I'm like, no, now don't tell me she's going to discover her maternal instincts over the course of the movie and they're going to become a family.
And I like that she does, but in like a really her way.
Yeah. Right.
Like she doesn't become a soft mother.
Yeah.
She's
Right.
like,
She's
I
like,
trust you to be adults
Yeah.
and like
Right.
listen to me. And if you don't, you're going to stay here. And
Yeah.
we're going to go on an adventure.
Yeah, it kind of, and also the fact that it's like, we must have a father figure, and that isn't how it ends.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't end with that not being an option.
Yeah.
But it's not like
The nuclear
inevitable
family is
kind of-
not
yeah, exactly. Like, she goes on to being a single mother because she can do it. You
Yeah.
know? It's a super, like you said, very progressive for the time energy.
all poor Paul wants is a bunny friend.
Truly.
He brought it up like
That
3
poor
times.
guy. He's
That
like,
poor
just give
little
me
kiddo.
a bunny. I just want one. It's so sad. I love that she reads the broom flying instructions. Like, puts the glass. Also, her glasses are amazing, and it's my favorite part of like her affectation. It's so good.
She has great physical comedy. In
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
She's so good. Like, frankly, I can't think of a lot of other experiences with Angela Lansbury.
No.
Which is crazy. Like, I just
Like
can't
in
believe
person,
that.
I can't.
Right. Like, I mean, like, yeah. Like,
I never
Mrs.
really
Potts,
watched
like,
Murder,
that's-
She Wrote or anything.
Yeah.
I
feel
grew
like
up on Murder, She Wrote.
I feel like I need to get a little more Angela Lansbury content in my life because
Go
I
back to
want
some
see.
of her like original movies. She's
Okay.
such a tough broad. Like
love
it's
it.
so fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, her physical comedy in this,
Yeah.
the broom scene in particular
Oh my
that you're
gosh.
about to talk about.
And I love that they were trying to do side. She was trying to do side saddle, which is just stupid on a broom.
Yeah,
like,
I
that just
know.
will never
It's
work.
just dumb.
Yeah.
And I love that immediately she realizes like no.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna work.
She's such she was a perfect casting for the role.
Yeah.
It's so good. That's the sort of thing witches do. It's just her little like lines to herself are very expositional, but they still feel pretty natural. Like I never at any point questioned the nature of it, which is probably because the movie is played very theatrically.
Yeah.
Like, so it's very, you kind of get away with it, but it's just very interesting. Let's see. Oh, and of course they start immediately thinking of like, let's blackmail her. I'm like, wow.
Jeez, kid.
Damn, dude.
Seriously, like middle-aged dad.
Yeah.
Got to take care of my family any way I can.
Right. He's like, I got to get rid of
This
the
poor kid.
like the song that, what is it called? The
Age of Not Believing?
The Age of Not Believing.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's very
So
like
good.
it's it was kind of like, oh yeah, like I don't know.
Buddy.
It was charming in a way
Yeah.
that I wasn't expecting to be charmed by it. Because the music
That's this
itself
whole
is,
movie.
yeah,
I
like
was
it
not
kind of
expecting to
it
be
worms
charmed in
its-
the ways that
right.
I was.
Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Bother! I never seem to manage toads. There's just some great one-liners in here. I also wrote I identify as Cosmic Creeper. That's my let's see. I have so many questions about the witch lore at the time, and then I more questions came, which was sort of the wait, is she just truly like is everyone a little magical? Is she magical? Like what is the
Are the spells magical?
Right.
Because
So-
then at one point Professor Brown can do a spell, and I was always like, I don't want him to be able to do it.
right? But I think that what I kind of drew out of that was it's just entirely based around determination.
I think the Age of Not Believing this song kind of speaks to why she can do magic because she had a father who inspired belief in her.
Yeah.
And he, as Professor Brown says when he finally does, it's like you have to believe in something at some point in your life. Like
So
Right,
then he,
right.
and then, yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Because I was like, so this is later when they first meet Professor. I'm like, so did he just like luck into getting all those spells right? Because he
Right.
said he just randomly picked words out of a book, or is she just that magical that she can make make it happen.
I believe it sounds like he got everything out of that source book and then tweaked it, which is probably why she was having a problem with the spells being kind of
lasting
shitty.
long enough.
Yeah, like she could manage toads because he fucked up that spell too much.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, it's just very, and so her just like sheer force of will like made it work. Yeah, it's very cool. So I was curious to watch the kind of the way that like the magic lore sort of expanded on throughout the entire film. Super interesting. So and then the practical effect on the bed knob, the way it glowed from within.
Yeah, I like that.
It's just some really amazing practical effects. Let's see. So the bed knob is a port key. By the way, everyone, there's going to be too many of these references, and I am going to be doing a donation to the Trevor Project. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I honestly want to Google like, did J.K. Rowling read this book or watch this movie or both? Because there's a lot.
The answer is yes.
I was going to say she had to have seen this.
It's a little too on the nose in a couple, especially a few places where it was like, like the locomotion of inanimate objects, an object being imbued with the ability to transport, the Cockney children. Like, I don't know. There's just something there. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I just wrote "whoa, trippy" in all caps, which I assume must have been the bed took off for the first time.
Seriously, it's like an acid trip.
Yeah.
Oh man!
All right, kids, everybody, hold on.
Yeah. 1 copper coin of the realm. I'm gonna start referring to
pennies like that.
It was really funny. Yeah, it's way more interesting than a penny. Bit theatrical, perhaps, but most spells are. There's just some good one-liners in there. I really enjoyed it. I feel like they were a little too blasé about the fact that he was just staying somewhere because there was an unexploded ordnance outside,
squatting in a mansion,
an unexploded bomb in the front yard.
Yeah, like that is a vibe.
It's just to be like, I'm usually a coward, but this allows me to live like a king, so it's kind of my best friend.
That's my best friend.
What a vibe.
Yeah.
What an absolute vibe. I feel like Angela Lansbury's glasses like get more askew on her head throughout the entire film, and I just really enjoyed that. It was fun.
The more she has to put up with,
right? The more askew they are, and she's just like,
she's got to put up with.
The kind of the part of the vibe she almost has with the glasses specifically is oh my god, what's her name in the first Mummy movie?
Edie. Rachel Weisz.
Rachel Weisz. Like with the kind of like super like self like assured, but like a little bit like like at the same time.
Yeah.
That's sort of the energy that I got like when she especially had her glasses on. It was just this very like, I don't know how to explain it. And I'm doing a visual bit in an audio podcast. I'm so sorry. Not helpful.
And then in the library when he's telling her like, oh yeah, let's be a team, and
I'll be the star.
I'm like,
I'll use you.
Another man telling a woman she won't succeed without him.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there were a lot of really little moments that were just, there was a lot of casual misogyny like in the dialogue.
Yes.
That like Laurel said, came back to reflect poorly on the man.
Right.
But like, there were also just like weird moments. Like, did you notice when the kids go into the nursery, Mary picks up all the girl toys? Yeah. And then the boys, play with the train set and like the bicycle.
Yeah,
and
lest we forget it was 1971. And I'm like, sure. Yeah,
this was very 1970s.
This is very gendered.
Can only make so much progress at a time, folks.
And then like, there was another point later in the movie where he sat at the head of the table in her fucking house. Right. Like, that drove me nuts. Like, noticing all these little moments, I was just are you kidding me? No. Sit on the... What the fuck are you doing? Who are you?
Didn't he make dinner, though?
He did, but that doesn't entitle him to sit at the head of the table.
No, but house. But to your point, like, I think it shows, like, some gender roles being being subverted, especially if it was, like, in 1940s.
Yeah.
Like, but it is, like... It's very frustrating as an audience from today. It's like, okay, women can't organize. Okay, but she's the one who's saved everyone.
Saved all your asses.
Right. Yeah, so. I think that there's also a point of it being like, this man is useless and taking it out on. I think it becomes very apparent that like,
and I think that's why I just didn't like that character.
Yeah, he's not very likable.
He's like, what? what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And anytime that he does something that's like good, like he referees the soccer match or something, and he gets the star.
Yeah.
He always has to like follow it up with like, aren't I great?
Yeah.
Like, let me hold on to that because you'll lose it. Like,
right.
Please stop.
He's trying to.
He's self-aggrandizing.
Right.
And
Right.
And for no good reason.
But I think the reason I find it interesting from like a writing and performance perspective, it seemed like everyone was on board with the fact that he was kind of useless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I think that that's the part that I found interesting about the story, especially from a 1971 perspective. It's like, yeah, but like that self-aggrandizing was actually irritating. And I feel like a lot of men at the time would have found it irritating, which I think is a cool call out. You know, it's like, do you see yourself in any of this behavior? And I feel like some men might have.
Even like the little guy, we're going back to like the Portobello Road sequence. Even like little shyster guy who's downstairs trying to get the other half of the book calls him out on just being like a joke, basically.
Right, exactly.
Like,
exactly.
What are you even doing here?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, she's way too good for you.
Yeah. Right. Like, what is this? Then there was 20% too much chin guy. The chimney sweeps are back, baby. And that was the whole. And then, okay, can we talk about the dancing scene for a second?
So
on Portobello Road,
I wrote the Portobello Road sequence equals hooray colonialism.
Right, like that's literally. I'm like, wow, did we just parade through every single
pretty much
colonialized place that the UK?
Yep.
I agree to a point. Absolutely. Okay. That was part of why they were there. But I also appreciated, especially for the time in the 1970s where you didn't have a lot of representation, that you recognize that these people fought in World War II.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of people just didn't even talk about it.
Right.
So to come out in 1971 and be like, hey, remember these brown people who fought for you as well? They should also be part of your conversations and knowledge and history.
Yeah.
Like, hey, remember these guys? Oh, you don't?
You don't? Well, here you go. They're going to do a sort of offensive dance.
Like London now and has for a very long time has a huge Indian population. Has a huge population of people from the islands.
Right, right.
And there's a reason.
Yeah.
Right.
100%. It's colonialism. It's a history of slavery. It's a lot of bad stuff. But also they did, in a big way, impact the war effort.
100%.
It's like all the black soldiers in World War II that just got brushed over and forgotten.
100%.
Right. It is interesting too with the and I guess I like your reframing because I think that helps kind of re-perspective the sequence. Because,
especially in 1971, because we're, right now we're, 70 years out from World War II. They were only 30 years out.
True.
And a lot of media at the time was kind of making fun of the Nazis.
Right.
Because, like, look how ridiculous. I mean, like, think Hogan's Heroes kind of thing.
Right.
So having that brought up in a movie that was only 30 years
it's a good point
afterwards.
Yeah, like
after the fact.
Going from the perspective of being like, for that level of a statement from a 1970s Disney movie is actually pretty commendable. The only complaint I think I might have had was, what is this song? What is that? Like, it was a little bit of a like, okay, so what are we doing though?
Yeah.
Like,
it's a long sequence.
Yeah.
And the tone changes to like which culture is then performing the dances.
Right.
It's interesting.
I feel like I wouldn't have minded the song at the very beginning being shorter and then just kind of jumping into like
a
stuff.
Dance break.
Yeah, and not making it like this it feels like that's the one sequence to me that maybe sagged a little energy wise, and it wasn't because of like the actual like dance numbers were actually kind of like
fun.
Show stopping and maybe not a bad way. Like, every now and then I'm like, are we going, am I supposed to be like, there was a little bit of moments where I'm just like, especially with the Indian army, I'm like, I need to know more before I know if this is offensive or not. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. But I think genuinely I found those dance sequences to be very like engaging. It's just that I wish there wasn't so much like kind of framing of music around them that kind of felt like it was making us like, it's like we completely stopped the plot and now we're doing this.
Now these people enter.
Right.
I will say that I appreciated the costuming.
Yeah.
Like,
definitely.
If they were going to present Sikh men who would have been in that era. Like they did the turban. They made sure everyone had a beard. They made sure like
it wasn't
their uniforms
as
were appropriate.
inaccurate as we could have been.
There could have been like some really. I mean, for that time frame, you could have really easily.
No, it's true. Really especially in that kind of campy, Disney thing where they're want to do something like that.
And yet Disney is woke now.
Right.
Yes.
Disney's only getting woke today.
Right. Exactly.
I'm sorry. Can you hear my eyes rolling through the microphone because
I'm actually going to turn down your mic a little bit because the eyes are so loud. It's it was very interesting. It was very interesting. I literally wrote extended dance number showing all the UK colonies is a vibe.
It is a vibe.
Then they get to that sequence where they end up in the that's another weird tonal shift.
The tone switch is so quick in this movie.
So weird.
I'm like, oh my god, now they're in like this like genuinely dangerous underground situation with knives, and they're gonna stab a 6-year-old boy to get a coloring book. So that was a whole thing.
Like this comic book or whatever.
Like the lore just keeps getting deeper and deeper. Like, what is this? And then I'm like, okay, now they're going underwater.
Yeah.
And the thing that really, I know this shouldn't be the thing that bugged me about that entire sequence of being
so they don't get wet.
Yeah.
They're not wet.
And they're not having to worry about breathing.
No.
Like, could they have at least addressed the fact it's like, wow, this must be magic.
Nope,
like,
it's just magic.
And occasionally they would like talk and bubbles would come out of them. Like, why didn't we talk about, like, everything else has been discussed. Why are we not talking about this underwater thing? It's so weird.
I thought that whole underwater sequence, I really wanted to see Ariel, even though this was 18 years before she existed. And B, I was utterly charmed by that.
I was too.
That was the point in the movie where I'm like, okay, I'm just charmed now.
Like the childhood wonder was there in that scene. Yeah.
The colorway of those scenes are so Mary Blair, Alice in Wonderland inspired, and I
also
love
just
the character design.
The wire work between the two actors when they were dancing in the, like, holy crap.
And the way that and just going into like a little film deep dive,
very
like,
creative wire work.
Yeah, and it was well rotoscoped.
Yeah.
Like all of the way that they interacted with the background, like they considered their lighting against the background, so they were lit well, and then they would cause shadows onto the animated characters in a very like Roger Rabbit kind of way, and that is the gold standard of 2D animation against live action. Like there isn't really been anything better than that since, and I thought it was getting it like 85% to that level of accuracy and precision. Yeah, and it was a number of years before.
Oh yeah, a lot. 10, 15 years before.
Yeah, and so the idea of this, like every time, like, and then they'd be going, and if the bed was farther back, going against the backdrop, there would be like a ripple effect that they had applied to the live optical shots over the top of the. It was, I mean, it was just genuinely really impressive technology. Like that must have been so much fucking work to do.
Oh my god,
it would have been just absolutely unbelievable, and I was just totally charmed. Every aspect of it. It's that Disney thing where they do all of they had a lot of different kind of types of tech, and they combined them into a single holistic sequence.
Which at that time I'm like, how did you do that?
That was amazing.
But I also loved like the use of like animated gags. With the physical gags, because like when you have the fish couple and they turn and they're like
flat,
pencil thin, it makes me laugh every time, even though I've seen this movie more times than I can count.
That sequence,
that was adorable.
On the same boat. Like it was just, you're right, and then the wire work too is a good call out, because like it genuinely like felt very fluid for the time. Like that would have been pretty challenging, and you never got any sense of the wires. The rotoscoping on the wires was good.
The choreography was very good, because the way that they moved to even when they were kind of at repose was
very flowy. Yeah,
but it wasn't like too much. Like the
it was the way they interacted with underwater in an animated way was surprisingly good. I still think it was weird they never discussed the fact that they were underwater and breathing. That is the one.
Honey, they are on an animated island.
I know.
Animated fish. That fish was smoking underwater.
He was smoking underwater.
Animated water doesn't actually get you wet. That's my new theory.
That is actually a fair point.
Like animated water is just
air.
It's just air.
It's just air.
There's bubbles.
And then on land, you can get run over by a rhino and you'll be fine.
And you'll be
totally okay. By like a rhino, a crocodile,
a
wild boar, and a hippo, and you're fine.
Oh,
no
man.
broken bones at all.
Yeah, that one did bug me for no good reason, because you're right. Like it's not significantly weirder than anything else that happened. It was just weird that they never addressed it. Anyway, I'm all right. I'll be fine.
Part of the charm, Ian. Just
really
go
is.
with it.
It really
roll.
is. Can't you read the reading?
Can't you read the reading?
I am going to use it at some point because it is very funny.
Mean, angry Baloo.
Right. Oh my god.
With a stutter.
That was so funny. Like that, there was definitely like a real who's who of the Disney animated sequence library that they were pulling from in that whole deal. Like you could run into stuff all the time that felt like, I'm like, oh, I recognize you. Yeah.
That was the first time I had seen the hidden Mickey in the stands, though. Someone was wearing like a Mickey t-shirt.
That's so
I was just
funny.
like, oh, okay.
There it is. Yeah. Because 71, so this would have been the year that Disney World opened. That's so weird. Huh. That does put it in a kind of time and space. Huh. Yeah. I also love that they called it soccer.
I was
hated
wondering
that they call this soccer.
I know.
if they did it differently in different countries, because some movies
They'll
they'll say
localize it.
a certain one.
Well, and
because they call it football later.
Yeah.
they do, and it was only one line where he says it, and I wonder if that was just like the actor being actually British and just not being able to be like, soccer, what the hell is that?
Even though I'm a soccer geek, so even though the term for soccer originated in England, but we won't go.
Yeah, that's just because we started saying it, and so England's like, no, we can't do that.
That's 100% what it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they say car park instead of garage.
Yeah.
Oh.
They got rid of all French sounding words after they're just like, no.
It's so petty, and I love it.
It's a whole
good.
country of weird.
If Angela Lansbury said something was an urgent matter to me, I would have just done anything she needed. Like
As well you should.
right?
Yeah,
like
right.
like imagine Angela Lansbury just like walking up to you with the glasses on, being like, "It's an urgent matter." I'm like, "Oh my
I would
god!"
literally drop my entire life and follow you into
Tell me
battle.
what you need.
Right, where's the bed? Let's go. Hops on and take no.
Although,
I mean,
why are assistant characters in Disney movies always like fop or gay coded?
there
like
there is
100%.
something
it's the
to that.
Zazu of Bedknobs
Like
and
Zazu.
Broomsticks.
Right.
And then there's like the the snake in
Right.
Hiss.
Hiss.
Or, Hiss.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I mean,
So
I know this
it's-
has been probably addressed before in
yeah.
like queer media analysis, but I don't know the answer to that.
I
but
don't either.
It is definitely a pattern for sure.
I just noticed it because of the bird guy. I'm
well,
like,
and to be fair, a lot of the villains themselves are frequently
yeah.
very, very kind of queer coded.
Oh, yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yes, one of my favorite stand-up bits that I've seen lately is like, "You're telling me Jafar was straight? He wanted to sleep with Princess Jasmine? Okay,
No way.
with that cape.
with
that
that goatee and
with
a
that-
best friend who's a bird. Okay,
Best friend who's a bird.
Like, all right, sure. Absolutely. That's great. The whole soccer scene, the Foley guy had his work cut out for him. That was
I wrote-
so fun.
sometimes it was like a dog barking. That was
Yeah.
like, "There's no dog on the field."
I think it was meant to be the hyena.
Was it supposed to be the hyena?
Oh, that's
I'm like-
funny.
It's like, what's happening?
Prince John, the wild pirate years. He just like
His hair
was crazy, and he talked like a pirate.
It was interesting to see 1970s Disney animation applied to a hybrid movie, whereas
Yeah.
before we had seen the 1960s
60s.
animation, so it was
It's
like
a lot cleaner.
Yeah.
It's a lot more
Yeah.
refined.
yeah, it's just a very different look.
What is this game? And this game gets pretty repetitive.
Yeah, that was
They could
another.
have cut down the soccer
Yeah.
scene by
That
a
was
lot.
A lot.
I thought that the dance number was the part I needed to cut, and then after the soccer scene happened, I'm like, actually, the soccer scene could have been.
Soccer scene needs
that
to
could
be
have
shorter.
been less of a
Yeah.
thing, but I
And
mean, it was
it's- I don't
funny.
know
And
if
it
they were
was
just-
fucking violent.
It was so
wa-
violent.
I was like, I don't know if they're just trying to give David Tomlinson a lot of physical gags
Yeah.
to
Right.
do, but
Maybe.
they
Right.
could have cut down by at least a minute. or
Like
two.
I'm
Right.
thinking like maybe 2 or
Right.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
I also find it interesting that this is would this have been the first hybrid film since Disney's death?
No, this was released like a week before he died.
But wait, he died in
Oh, wait. No, Roy Disney was
Disney. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Walt Disney died in, what, 67?
Something like that. Before
Magic Kingdom opened.
Yeah.
And...
Yeah, Roy Disney died a week after this was released.
Wow. Yeah, well, because Roy Disney got through Walt Disney World opening. Because he, like, basically, like... He was like, my brother died. I'm gonna get this project through.
He's
and then
like, give me all the drugs I need to make this happen.
He got through the entire thing, and then Magic Kingdom opens, and he dies. Like, it's crazy.
Christ.
It's like he just like literally like held out.
Yeah.
Because of getting the Magic Kingdom open.
My grandma did that with Christmas. Oh.
Yeah, that's actually pretty common. Yeah, scary. The stretcher vultures. That was weird.
I liked that.
I
thought that was hilarious.
It was fun. No excuse for dirty football. That was a great line. The what switch? Oh, we only had one slur word during the.
Yeah.
We do have a counter sometimes on some movies.
There is some debate over whether that word is
a slur
or not, because
that's
some
confusing.
Romani people don't mind.
Okay.
And like some do, I don't know. I've heard it's
I'd
or.
I'd hazard to guess that in this application
on the side
either
of
way.
caution. Yeah.
Well, and I think and it's like one thing if you're addressing a group of people.
Yeah.
In this case, it's addressing a crime.
Yeah.
Literally
talking
about
stealing
like stealing something. So
Yeah.
regardless of that, I think that's that would be my
not great.
Right. Anyway, but yes, historically, like we did that for Blazing Saddles.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine the counter.
A slur counter.
Slur
There was,
counter.
I think the
like 18.
18. Yeah, it was
the total.
It
and
got to be
most of them was the N word.
The N word and the F word both showed up quite a bit. Yep. Yeah. It was a fun time. Yeah. Oh, women always lose things, and then he of course loses it because
it's like, and then everyone's like all down because she forgot the words. I'm like, seriously, does no one ever write shit down?
Does anyone have a notebook?
You have a notebook.
You literally have a notebook.
It becomes, you mention your notebook later in the movie. Why didn't you just write it down?
I think the other thing that was funny
I think
is
she might have ADHD.
Angela Len, like Miss Price is ADHD.
Miss Price has ADHD.
I love that hot take for this episode.
I'm just gonna put it out there. I mean, her office is a mess.
Yeah.
She can't find anything she needs when she needs it.
Right. Oh
she
my
forgets
God.
things immediately after.
I think you're right, honestly.
Yeah, you know?
And beyond all of that, the words were in the book, which was funny anyway.
I love that they
no
ended
one will
up
listen
just
to Paul.
No one listened to Paul.
No one ever listens to me. Go, Paul.
I think that definitely Paul is the character that they wanted to like have all of the young kids or younger kids to like identify with because they are like, I'm never listened to. So I get it. But yeah, it is funny. They're just like, oh, they were in there the whole time.
This could have ended at the first stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
If you had like sat down with Paul and like read it to him as a bedtime story, you would have been like, oh, here it is.
Wait a second.
I would also love to know more about Astaroth and like what his deal
was.
Yeah,
what was that book made out of?
What are you? And
fur?
Did the Sanderson sisters get it after you? Like, what is this situation? Let's see. Legally not supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Like, it was definitely a different thing. Okay, but I want Angela Lansbury's house. Like the Miss Price house is just.
It's very cute. It gives a little the Three Fairies in Sleeping Beauty vibes.
Oh.
Like maybe it's not in a tree, but it looks like it could be in a tree.
I feel like there's a few like really old Disney animateds that I have not seen. Maybe we need to like assemble this particular group every so often to do a couple of those.
Let's do it.
Like because I don't know that I've actually seen Sleeping Beauty all the way through.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's too late. You're in it now. You're gonna have to. You're even the ones you don't like.
I will talk about. I mean, I've only been a part of 2 different Disney podcasts.
That's true.
So
that's true.
I have a lot of research on these movies.
I love the detail that they came in a U-boat. Like that's it's an actual kind of interesting. I don't know. Like it felt like that they're. The way that they portrayed the Nazis while being a little bit kind of buffoony.
Yeah.
Because that was, as you said, the style of the time. They also were kind of scarier.
Mm-hmm. I liked the homicidal gardening gloves in the
When she's practicing.
Yeah, when she's
Yes.
practicing
Yes.
the spell, the gardening
They
gloves
are
literally just going for his neck.
Unhinged. I know. I'm like, sir,
Are you okay?
like what?
I am Mrs. Price's inner rage.
I am rage. I'm envy.
Envy. But yeah, the Nazis were like,
Yeah.
when they first came onto the screen, they seemed actually kind of competent
Yeah.
and
And
therefore a little
genuinely
bit
kind of
scarier.
scarier. Yeah. They weren't just
But
idiots.
then, like, you know, the
Right.
stuff happens and they
then
just
they're idiots.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because they couldn't. That's a delicate balance for a Disney film, right? Like you're trying to balance between the like them being kind of scary
Yeah.
and being a real threat while also simultaneously like not letting them be too dangerous because like, hey, we have guide rails here because we're in
Yeah.
a Disney film.
You also have to consider that, like you said, this is 30 years after the war. So you're a large part of your audience has actual experience
experience.
and trauma associated with Nazis and
Right.
fighting. So you have to present it in a way that can be real, but not
I bet some
triggering.
Not Saving Private Ryan.
I bet
Yeah.
some of the people who brought their kids to see this were the kids who got, you know, separated from their parents
Right.
and sent to the country
Right.
because, you know, they would have been, you know, 30 some or 40 some years old.
I do wonder how it performed in the UK. You know, 'cause it's an American movie, right? Like, I would just love to know, like, how the UK responded to it as an audience.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
And then we get into some good old fashioned Nazi punching.
That is deeply therapeutic. That was what I was looking for
Was
the
nice.
whole time.
I dug it.
Just the practical effects of like all of
Yes.
that stuff. The horses, like
That was crazy.
I just can't even imagine the size of the rigs they had to
Right.
have above screen
Yeah.
to accommodate these movements. Because some of it was definitely like there's points where like there's people in there,
Yeah.
and there's points where like that is a marionette situation, and it's crazy that you can actually do that in the 1970s.
Yeah. And then the fact that it's like, this is not green screen.
Yeah.
This is like, and I'm not saying there wasn't compositing happening, which I think there had to be for some
Yes,
things,
probably, yeah.
but like it was not like paper cut out, like what, like they had these structured
Suits
rigs
of
put
armor.
together. Yeah, it was so cool. That was an unbelievably neat thing.
I
to
also
look at.
really liked that we got like almost every iteration of the British Army armed forces going back, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years.
Like in terms of like design,
Like, in terms of designs, because we got like some red coats from like the Revolutionary period. We got some of like their Civil War stuff from the 1500s. And, you know, we had like some Viking armor that was cool.
Yeah.
Like, it felt very patriotic.
In like a British way.
In a very British way. You know, like all of the forces in history are coming together to
take on the
Nazis.
And I love the way that it's because this community has saved all these things from their ancestors, because that's very British. Like they're like each like little town or village has so much pride in itself and like its history in particular.
Yeah.
Because they can, you know, track it back so far as compared to the US. So like it just it's lore and world building that they do really well in this movie.
Together.
Yeah.
I think that it's fun that the it does feel like an American, like, you know, because the Disney company was making very patriotic content during the war.
Oh, yeah.
And this feels like the patriotic movie, but they made it as kind of a love letter to Britain, like a little bit. Like they kind
Maybe,
of, you know, it feels
Like, hey,
very...
we left you out here on your own for a while.
Right.
So.
Hello,
Sorry about that.
Sorry. So they made this sort of like, but you get some patriotism too, and they made it. It's very interesting. A very and it's both. It's kind of boastful in a way that Britain isn't. Typically. Yeah, very, very interesting.
But Miss Price on her broom with the flag and her little
fucking
helmet.
iconic.
I was like, I could get that tattooed on me tomorrow.
I want to be Angela Lansbury on a friggin' broomstick leading a army of armor.
Yeah, I think that is the vibe.
That is such a vibe.
Yeah, it was. The detail of her having the World War I helmet, and the British
because it was her
Union Jack
father's.
hanging off the saber, like that is peak cinema, and I don't know what else to say about that. Like that is so fun.
I also love that both those things are things that you see in the background in her house from her father.
Yeah.
So
I bet
that's why
dad
she's wearing it.
I didn't get that.
bet
That
her
is a
dad was
great
military.
concept.
That's because I've watched this movie too many times.
I love that's exactly why you're here. Gotta have that. One of my lines that I had toward the end here was, okay, but these effects kind of slap.
So much so.
The British flag on the broomstick. Oh my God. It was so funny. Oh, I love that they refer to the Nazis as these so-and-sos, which is just the most British way to say someone's trying to invade your country.
These beastly so-and-sos.
These beastly so-and-sos. Let's give them what for.
So funny. All right. Do you guys have any other notes that you would like to bring up?
No, I'm good. That was all my notes.
Laurel, do you have anything else you'd like to say about this on that level?
No, just that I'm excited that you have now experienced the odd greatness that is Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
It punches well above what I expected that it was going to be. Like, it's genuinely a good film. I think you're right. It's like the movie that Mary Poppins wasn't.
It's like the feminist version.
Yeah.
Like it's weirdly, again, I think it comes from the book because the entire time, like, she's the talent, she's the driving force.
Yeah.
She's the one who ultimately kicks the Nazis out of their city. And it's just for 1971, for a war movie based on World War II. Yeah. And for her to also be a witch, which at that time, what other witches did you have in cinema? Like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Right. Like 70s and 80s was very, like, witches were coded to be bad.
Yeah.
Like, Satanic Panic was about to start happening.
Panic. 100%. So, like,
so cool.
I thought it was so... When I first saw it, I just thought, oh my God, this is so unlike anything I'd seen.
Yeah.
And I just love it so much.
Yeah. Well, let's rate this thing.
It is a fun little romp.
And actually, not little. It's like 3 distinct acts, and it's like almost 2 hours long. It's like kind of a whole thing. But I really enjoyed it. So, and as you may or may not remember, Laurel, we have a multi kind of point rating system for this. And to start with, we're going to do production and design, which I am very comfortable giving a 5 to, because from a production design perspective, it was kind of perfection for the era, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
very impressive for 1971.
It holds up. It holds up better than like the Star Wars prequels. Like, don't hold a candle to this. Yeah, don't hold a candle to this. You know, like I was amazed. I was truly amazed by that. So I'm going to just go ahead and give it a 5. Story. What do we think about story? I usually kind of defer to Megan on this one. I have my own opinions, but I like to kind of get the trained writer to kind of give a weigh in on this.
It's very clearly based off of a book.
Yes.
Because it's very well structured.
It is. Yes.
It's and like I've had little picadillos about this sequence was too long, but I'm going to put that down to the filmmakers rather than the actual story.
Right.
And
you're talking about...
Oh yeah, it's very well structured. It's very I don't know. I think the story holds up.
Yeah.
And punching Nazis is always
it's a good time.
It's always a good time in my book.
It makes you feel kind of good, especially in the year of our Lord 2025.
Nice.
Yeah. So, from a story perspective, I think it's one of those where it's like it's not setting out to be more than it is.
Yeah.
Do we want to give it like a rare off 0.5, like a 4.7 or something, like you know what I mean? Like it's because like to your point, there was some timing stuff, and so that might have been a problem when it goes to becoming.
I'd give it like a 4.
A 4-ish.
A solid 4.
All right, I'm done with the 4. Performances. I think the performances, even with the child actors, were pretty good. For what it was.
Child actors.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Angela Lansbury just was became Miss Price, which was super cool. Like, just such a great adaptation. What do you want to give it like a 4.5?
Yeah, let's do 4.5.
All right. Cultural impact. This is interesting to me because I hadn't really seen it much.
Me neither.
And that kind of says something, doesn't it? That's too bad. I think more people should watch it. Personally.
Once in a great while, I'll find merch for it. Like, there's like a lounge fly.
Yeah,
are you serious?
Yeah, and I bought my sister the wallet for Christmas one year because we both are obsessed with it.
Yeah,
but yeah, it didn't have longevity like Mary Poppins does, and I don't know if that was like a marketing thing or if it just didn't catch up on.
Yeah,
And it's a long movie for kids.
It is a long movie for kids. I'm thinking that might have been part of its downfall.
It's a movie that didn't necessarily know its market in a way, you know, like it's like, I think that it could be for younger kids, like the younger end of the spectrum might find it hard to get all the way through, because it's honestly, I think it was more charming. It's like they didn't know it yet, but they were targeting Disney adults, you know, like they didn't know they were going to do that yet, but like that's kind of where they were going.
And like maybe it's also like when it came out, only 30 years removed from the war, could have had an impact too. There's a lot that could have been in there.
So I think that I don't think it had a negative impact. I just didn't think it had as much of an impact.
Maybe like a 3.5.
Like a 3.5. I think that's fair. It was just because it was like, it just didn't.
It just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll pop up in the, you know, annals of Disney history.
Right.
But like, it's not one that they play on Disney Channel. It's really not.
Right.
You have to be into Disney or have a parent who loved that movie, I think, to really know that movie now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that gives us a 4.2.
Nice.
Does that seem too low? No.
That seems fair.
That seems right. That seems fine. Oh yeah,
Listen,
4.2 is good.
I'm not bringing you the ultimate cinema experience, but it's just a cool movie.
I mean, is it not though?
I mean, for certain people like myself.
Yeah. Ratings. Let's see. That puts us in our world of things. That puts us putting it between. We have a few at this number as well. It is tied with so it's tied with Gravity, Grosse Pointe Blank, and the Da Vinci Code.
Nice. Grosse Pointe Blank, yes. Da Vinci Code, how dare you?
Wait, I want to know your take on Da Vinci Code.
No, you don't.
I'll be checking on that later. That's funny.
He loves it.
Which I think is good. And so right below that is 16 Candles at 3.9, and then right above it is Blazing Saddles at 4.4.
Nice.
This was thoroughly enjoyable to watch on a kind of cold and blustery Saturday.
Yeah.
And Laurel, thank you so much for joining us for this one.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was super fun to get to watch one of my favorite movies with you guys.
Yeah, it was a good time. And I'm sure we'll have some more that'll be up your alley in the future, because that's the beauty of this podcast. So thank you all so much for listening this week. My name's Ian.
I'm Megan.
And I've been Laurel.
For now. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Film School Slacker. Our graphic design is by Mitch Ransdell. Music by Ariel Shalom and Ziv Moran. Voiceover audio provided by Mike D and Janet Paoni. Learn more at filmschoolslacker.com.